Right, let's try this again for you. Members of the South African Clothing and Textile Workers Union are protesting some recently proposed labour law amendments. This as Sactwu's National Bargaining Conference continues in Cape Town. To unpack the conference events and that action happening on the streets, Nobesuthu Hejana joins us now live. Nobesuthu, I'm hoping you can hear me this time. So yesterday the discussion was around Minister Thulas Nxesi talking about, the employment or the threshold for employment for South Africans and foreign nationals. Is that still the case today? What's being discussed today?
Well, Masako, we heard the president or the deputy president of COSATU earlier addressing the workers just a few minutes ago, but we know that that protest is yet to be held as the conference has just concluded. But what we know from the members of Sactwu, they want the Minister of Labour to relook the minimum wage and also encouraging government to use locally produced products, saying that the sector, the retail sector, has been impacted a lot during the pandemic. But to unpack some of the things that have been debated or talked about during this conference, I'm joined by Fahmi Abrahams, who is the Sactwu's bargaining person. Fahmi, can you just tell us about or reflect on the events that took place yesterday and today?
It is our national bargaining conference where about 200 of our delegates from all over South Africa come together to set their demands for negotiations this year. So it's the first time in 2 years that we've had this gathering, and we've been addressed by the Minister of Labour yesterday, where he raised some issues like the migration policy that they're proposing and the social compact issues that government is now making sure to for all sectors. And our delegates expressed our concern on how, as an example, the Department of Labour is operating with inspections because there are so many violations of labour rights in various companies across the country. But it was an important interaction between what is the lowest paid manufacturing sector, the workers, and the Minister of Labour to understand the relationship between wages as in the national minimum wage, because some of our sectors are affected by it. There are farm workers, there are some of our textile sectors where some of the grades are below the minimum wage, and we've worked hard to make sure that they comply. But in many instances for those unorganized workers, it's a problem because they depend on labour inspectors to go and enforce and make sure that employers abide by the law. We are, of course, very encouraged by his commitment that he will address some of the issues, such as making sure that our sector is supported with the local procurement issues, government entities, state-owned enterprise, because if you can't support your local industry, the local industry is going to die. We've been hit hard by not just only lockdown, but before lockdown imports. Some legal, low-cost imports and some completely illegal imports. And it's important that if we ask consumers to support our industry, government must show that commitment as well.
And we also heard from the president or the deputy president of COSATU, Mr. Mike Chinganga, talking about the impact that almost 2 million workers have been laid off or lost their jobs, and even now the current labour laws, they're not fulfilling what they're supposed to, and even saying that maybe we should do away with those.
Yeah. You'll notice that most of our delegates are out on the street now, specifically showing their discontent at the proposed labour law amendments, which we see, on a balance, is a huge attack on labour rights. It's a huge attack on hard-won labour rights. Vulnerable workers are now going to be exposed to even more abuse because the laws that has been there to protect them is now being eroded. And the Deputy President is correct. We are angry. We are angry about it. And that's why our workers felt that out of an important program such as the wage mandating, they'll take an hour or two out to show their discontent on these new proposed labour law amendments.
Let's talk about the picket. What are you hoping to achieve with that? Obviously, you do talk about the frustrations from the workers, but what is it that you would like to see happen?
Look, we always consider this as a first salvo. We want to express our discontent, we want to express our disappointment, but it's a first start. Obviously, we will follow our federation, who will lead us in these discussions. But as an affiliate, we're always very prepared to show out this content so that everyone out there can see that as clothing, textile workers and leather workers, we are not happy with the proposed labour law amendments.
All right, thank you very much, Masego. That was Fahmi Abrahams, who is the Bargaining Council Officer for Sactwu nationally.
All right, Nobesuthu Hejana, let's leave it there for now. Right, time now to take a look at your weather. I'll be back with you at the top of lunchtime for more news.